Okay. Now, what's the deal about the guy that shot his car?
Oh, okay. I'll tell you that one first. The guy left home and he had a big fight with his wife the night before. And that morning when he left for work, he said, I just got a bad feeling something's going to happen. And so what he did was he drove out on Interstate 10 west of Shreveport and parked in the bushes and shot his car with a shotgun. And then he radioed in that some perpetrators, some perps, had shot him and he was in pursuit. And they had shot his car. And every police officer in town wanted to get in on that. I mean,
I guess he didn't count on that part, the enthusiasm.
No, he knew they would. So he was sitting there by Interstate 10 with his microphone and telling where he was and what he was happening. Well, of course, they couldn't tell, but they'd hear him talking because it was a repeater and just going out everywhere. And he had police cars running up and down I-10. No, it was I-20. Was that I-10?
I-20 outside of Shreveport.
Yeah. Anyway, they were running up and down the freeway looking for him. They was going to help him out, Well, they finally caught him and figured out what happened. He had shot his own car. And wanted to make his wife feel sorry for him. So, anyway, now the deal about Jack Welch was the CEO of General Electric for a while. And he just recently died, by the way. But
Neutron Jack?
Yeah. And I saw his picture on Time magazine cover one time, and his hands were up where you could see them, and you could see his nails were just chewed down to nothing. Bit his nails so bad. But he was a PhD in chemical engineering. And the guy that was before him, the CEO, gave a bunch of big executives, of which Jack Welch was one of them, gave each one of them like $50 million to invest in something to see how they did. Well, everybody put it into the division that they were in charge of, except Jack Welch. And Jack Welch took his money and bought silver. And at that time, if you remember, the Hunt brothers were trying to kite silver and driving the price way out of sight on silver. Well, he made a ton of money by just buying silver. And so the Jones, the guy that was, I think that was Jones, was the CEO then, called on in, and Jack Welch won the contest for all these division managers because he made the most money. And they all complained, and the existing CEO said, well, I never said you had to invest in your companies. And so that's one of the reasons Jack Welch got to be CEO. But when he was CEO, and the GE computer division had a big thing going at some exhibit conference, okay? They had a huge mainframe computer set up in the exhibit hall. And it had been spent all night programming it, fixing it and everything else, and getting it started. And letting it heat up and warm up and do what all they had to. Really a complicated process to get the thing running right. Jack Welch came in when they opened the deal and saw them running their stuff, and all the GE stuff, and went over and saw a power button. And he reached down and said, what does this click do? And when he did that, the whole thing just shut down. And they had to spend about half the time at the convention restarting everything. He just messed it up royally. But anyway, that's the story on Jack Welch.
Well, didn't he announce was it?
Oh, this is one of the stupidest things he ever did for somebody that had a PhD and was so smart. He announced to Ford magazine.
Forbes?
Forbes.
Okay.
Well, he announced to the Forbes magazine reporter what his philosophy was on managing a company the size of General Electric with, 300 or 400 employees, 300,000 employees, that he was going to save money. And what he was going to do, he's going to get rid of all these divisions that weren't number one in their industry. like if you're selling all light bulbs and everybody's buying them, you're just dominating that field. Well, in our business, we were way second class to Motorola. We were a $300 million organization. Now, $300 million business is pretty good size. But Motorola was about 2.5 times bigger than we were. But we were highly profitable. It was really good because the customers we had were very loyal. And we were really doing some good things at $300,000 a year. We were doing $300,000 a year, $300 million. We were doing a really good deal with it because the average order in our department was less than $3,000. So we had a whole bunch of orders making that, and that's really good. What you want to do is spread it out really thin. So if you have a recession or something, it won't affect you quite as bad. But anyway, he announced that to Forbes, and they put it in their magazine that he was going to sell the mobile radio department. And when he did that, all our competitors copied that article out of Forbes and passed it out to all their customers and all their prospective customers. And we just about went out of business because people would look at that and say, well, they're going out of business. And they were right. General Electric sold out to Ericsson, and now I don't know who runs it.